Okay, good morning. Uh, so I took care of, I guess I'll show it on a very quick stream yesterday. Um, this. I had mentioned it about 2 days ago or 3 days ago that I wanted to put like tooltips on this just to see the names of what each node is. So we have that going for us now. I made it yesterday. So last night I was kind of thinking, hey, I could probably have, instead of hooking these into the nodes themselves, have hooked them into the mouse's position and just use that instead. I'll be honest though, kind of like it better on the node, so just not sure. I think the mouse position might have been, like in this case, you see like it's moving around and stuff like that. I don't know. We can always change it. If we made it just the mouse's position, that would be a little bit cleaner, I guess. So we do need to change something though. Give me a sec. I want to lower the max size on this. Let's say 32. Okay. Let's see what that looks like now. I think 72 max size was a little bit much. Yeah. So we need to do a few things. One, I want to sorry, I want to make this grounded or anchored. Is one thing. So the core node doesn't, it can move around, it can shift around, but it'll always come back to the position it should. Let's actually find out where it is. I thought it was 0, but apparently I think 0 is over here. I think. One sec. Maybe I misremember. Under here, canvases, testing. UI grid. Core node. So if I just zeroed it out, what happens? Okay, yeah. So, like, stuff like this shouldn't be happening, right? This is what we're going to be correcting today. Where the core node, even though it doesn't, you can't see it because it's so tiny, the number, but it's shifting around slightly, and that's because of the physics related to the other nodes. Even though this is heavy, it's just slowing down how fast they can actually shift it. Now, we see something here also, which is something that was caught my eye, that these are getting scaled automatically, just like the other thing was. So I'm trying to figure out where this scale is coming from, because the scale here is 0. So something is setting the scale of these things. Let's look at the core node. Yeah, see, the core node over here is supposed to be 1. But something is setting the scale. I don't know what it is. I have no clue. So the only thing that I'm gonna, it shouldn't be the pooler. The pooler doesn't change anything related to the position, nothing related to transform the pooler deals with. Unless I set a parent through the pooler, it shouldn't do anything related to transform. And if only then is it doing like set parent. So something is happening here, and we need to figure that out. So that's 3 things. There is the I want to take care of collisions, so these nodes actually properly collide with one another and avoid one another. I want to get the values to start going to 0 instead of always moving around and stuff like that. So at some point they're just going to settle completely. I mean, you don't even really see the movement, but the movement is happening, basically. It's just that it's going up and down into different positive and negative directions until eventually it'll settle, I guess. But it's just taking too long. What else? Oh, yeah, and the scale issue. So these are 3 things that I want to try to take care of today. So let's take a look at how this is being brought into the scene. It's through UI Grid, or Skill Tree UI. Oh, whoa, what's this? Third-party license. I have no clue where this just came from. JetBrains. What is JetBrains? What is this? I can't click my IDE now because something just popped up saying I need to sign an end-user agreement for JetBrains. JetBrains user agreement. JetBrains is company, registered, whatever. Documentation, mission. I'm not going to... This is what I hate about this type of stuff. When you're going to present this stuff and then you just drop a massive... This feels like, what, 10 pages of license information? It's just nuts. This is legal agreement. By clicking on this, I agree. Similar button presented to you at the time. It would be good, like in most cases, if they just showed me what changed, you know? Access and your data. We do not see or have access to your data in the product by default. However, some plugins are... Okay. I don't know what JetBrains is. I gotta look that up. 1 second. I don't use... It's something obviously with the IDE, but I thought it was like writer specific. But I think it's just all IDEs can have it, I guess. I just need to remember or find out what it is. JetBrains offers Pro Tools, developers, teams. Did I ever actually install it though? I think it just... Let me ask. Oh my goodness. Okay. Um... Okay. Apparently I must have, I guess, installed it or something at some point. I just don't know what I use it for, or used, past tense, it for. Export control laws? What's this? You must comply with all applicable laws, regulations with regards to economic sanction. Okay, yeah, fine. Hey, Nepal, how you doing? Nepal, do you use Microsoft Visual Studios for your IDE? Limitation of liability. Did you get a recent prompt for licensing for when you open Visual Studio? No, I use it. It's just that when I opened it up a second ago, JetBrains just randomly threw an EULA at me. So I'm trying to like read through it real quick. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Like I've never seen an EULA just pop up like that, especially for something that's third party, and I don't even remember installing it. I'm like trying to think if this is just native to Visual Studio, but I remember JetBrains is like tied to Writer, and I don't have Writer. But maybe I'm misremembering. You know what? Whatever. You beat me. I don't have the time to read all of this right now. It looks like the generic stuff, so it's fine. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I just skipped the part where it wanted me to register my information. What was that now? A video about Oblivion? I hope it doesn't age. I mean, every video is going to age, bro. That's the point. Can't really avoid it. Can't really avoid that. Right now I'm going to be working on handling collisions, and I'm trying to remember where it handles, because this thing isn't applying forces the way that it should. I'm just trying to compute repulsion, right? Let's think for a second. Yeah, okay. I did this before, but I actually put this inside of the node that was being repulsed or repulsing. So it's a little bit weird doing it inside of a nested for loop this way, but it's the same code. I'm just trying to remember. Okay. So pretty much the way that it works is we get a node, which is the first iterative node, and then we are going to be applying forces to that iterative node based on the repulsion here. So we just do add force, and add force is simply setting the vector to something else. Down here is where we're going to actually update the physics on the node, on all of the nodes. Right, and this update is based on these forces that we tell it that we want to apply on this frame to each one of the nodes. By JetBrains is, I know JetBrains is premium. Did they ask for? By the way, the video I made on the remakes, no, like if the game ends up being fake, which I doubt at this point. I mean, I think it's a trend now, right? Where every single thing that has come out is now being cannibalized. Like, people are just really digging into their back catalog and just cannibalizing the holy heck out of... Like, they did it with Final Fantasy VII. They did it with... Disney does it all the time with all of their stuff. Basically, everything is on the table for a live-action remake. I mean, it's a trend. So, when I hear that something's being remade, it's just, you know, it's par for the course at that point. It's just, you're not surprising me. You would surprise me if you told me that they weren't going to remake it and it was fake. I'd be like, oh, okay. I'm not trying to sound like, you know, not excited or anything like that. I'm okay with whatever, you know, like I like Tamriel. The world of it is pretty cool. Going in there, becoming a vampire, and a vampire, assassin, rogue thief, knight, warrior / Nord supremacist was always awesome. Okay. It looks like it should be working. I'm not sure what's going on here. Unless the compute repulsion is just not good. Alright, let's look at compute repulsion. Wait. What does add force look like? Maybe that's where the problem is? Yeah, no, they're just adding that. Alright, let's check this out. We just need to return a direction. So it might be that we need to apply more force. Like, we need to increase the overlap factors effect. Yeah, but we're doing that here. It's crazy. This should be working, right? Distance is equal to delta. That magnitude, right? And then we have the collision range. We subtract the distance from it. And we divide that by the collision rate. And that'll give us our overlap. Okay. So let's start with this. Wait. I think we just need to clamp this. Because I think what's happening is that this is attracting when we're not in the overlap range. That's what I think is happening. And that's what's keeping everything constantly moving. There's a light attraction that's... No, but we should get stopped here when the distance is greater than the collision rate. Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you credit, dude. You're definitely really good at that game. Like, your hours of play shows. I was there thinking, is this guy playing on like easy mode or something? Like, it is. You just ran right through just about every. But then again, that's the thing with that game. That there's a certain quirks that are just deserved, like it screams this is a video game kind of thing, right? And it only screams it so loudly because it's a game that's trying to look realistic, but at the same time it's so not realistic. and it's within the Lord of the Rings setting, so it's like mystical and magical and weird stuff like that generally don't happen unless you're dealing with like, you know, like elves and stuff, and even then it's like the magic is just so subtle. And so when you see a guy who's crouching and doing a 2-mile dash while crouching, it's like, bro, like the quads on that guy, the glutes, they have to be screaming at the end of that one. um Like, this man does a straight cross-country sprint while half-crouched. Like, I think the normal person would blow their knees out, like, not even, like, the first 200, 300 meters. like, that is some craziness. Yeah, but even then, the Nazgul are technically dead also, and they need horses to move around. You know what I mean? This guy does it while crouching. It's nuts. But then again, even in the movies, when Peter Jackson introduced the wraiths to come in and do what they did, was kind of just like very weird. If you consider the whole premise of magic in the world, like that was the one point I would say in Lord of the Rings, the trilogy, that just was like, I get it looks cool, but it's just so out of place. Like if Gandalf had done something more than just turn the light on to blind the orcs so that way the Rohirrim could dismantle the orcs, okay, fine. Like if Gandalf had actually like brought comets down or something like that on them as the Rohirrim then clash with them, and then, you know, like fire boulders are going through them at the same time as the horses riders are mowing them down. Okay, great. Like we've established high magic. You know what I mean? But then all of a sudden Aragorn becomes the greatest necromancer in the world. It's like, okay, alright. But they did, I think that's the thing. I think Jackson was kind of restrained, right, by the books. The fact that in the later movie that he did, the Hobbit, that he resorted to high magic again, being used by like Galadriel and Gandalf on the against the, I think it was the Witch King of Angmar. That shows that he has a tendency towards displaying high magic, or at least he feels that it's needed in his movies. Let me take a look at this formula again, because it's just like bugging me. I'm trying to wrap my head around like what the math is actually doing here. We have one reference here. Ow. The only thing that I could think of here is to lerp it. Which I think is what I did last time. Copy this again. Because I don't think the problem is up there. I think the problem is definitely in here. Alright, let's try doing stuff. Yeah, I mean, that was... So I would think that if he had done it, if he had been more into... I think, so the quick answer is ego, right? When it comes to stuff like that, it's just being out of touch and thinking that, I guess after he did the first 3 movies, he was riding so high on his own supply that it's hard for anyone around you to correct you because you're the guy. Right? And so he went into it making the biggest mistake, which is thinking that people appreciated him for him rather than him for that he took Tolkien's work. A work that people had created tons of fan fiction around and all kinds of stuff and had dug deep into and invested in. And he represented it in the best way that anyone had done since long before probably he or I or anybody else was born. I think like going back, right? Like I've seen some of the old cartoons, like from like the 50s, I think it was, or the 70s, or whatever, whenever it was, but going back that far, and I remember thinking, man, this is this is just not my thing. But then the movies I could watch. I think I've watched the movies maybe twice or 3 times, the trilogy, since they came out, just at different times for different reasons with different people. But it's like, you could watch them. And so he's thinking, okay, nobody's got a better handle on this than me, right? So let's say if distance is equal to 0. So and so when he does that, somebody says, you know what would be really good? I could picture it. You if you make this another trilogy, and he buys a hook, line, and sinker, he can do it. You know, and nobody's gonna ever take away from him what he did with the first trilogy. Even he can't really take that away. Like, he'd have to come out and say something extremely dumb or do something extremely dumb, and I don't think he's that self-centered. But or I don't know him, but he doesn't strike me. If put it like this, if he was going to be that dumb, he would have done it already. Right? And so what is left behind is basically that he got what's called a hopefully a teaching moment, right? It's where life teaches you something. There's a learning moment where you see something happen and you choose to learn from it. Teaching moments are when that something happened to you and life is teaching you, this is what happens. You can choose to learn from it or not, but it's being taught. And I think those three movies gave him a teaching moment, for sure. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah, this is my take on what happened there. Because otherwise, it was a very big letdown technically. Because I was really looking forward to increased FPS rates for movies. But unfortunately, his movie was a very terrible delivery mechanism for it. Because there was a time, I think it was in the 1920s or 30s, where movies were displayed at, I believe it was like, well, I mean, there were still frames, right? But movies were gradually increasing in the amount of frames that would be displayed over time. And I just looked at what he was doing as, okay, we're finally moving out of, I think it was, what, 9 FPS or 12 FPS or whatever it is that the silver screen is being displayed at, to 15 and higher. Like, it's finally increasing. It didn't make any sense. We're in the digital era, but we're still operating on like 12 FPS. That just didn't make any sense. So to see that he failed like that was in a slow burn kind of way was kind of rough. And it would have made it much harder to pirate also, I think, because that's a much larger file size. So the industry would have done really well if he had actually not had been so high on his own supply. Alright, so we want to get the delta and normalize that. I mean, that's just a common sense outside perspective on it, looks like. Because you've seen, I mean, if you've lived long enough, you've seen everyone go through some variation of that already, where you bite off a little bit more than you can chew, you underestimate or overestimate your own capabilities, or underestimate the impact of somebody else's impact on your normal way of life. And when they're gone, suddenly it's like, ow. like and I think everyone has seen it happen, if not to themselves, then to someone else. We need to multiply this by the overlap. Squared. Just multiply that overlap. There we go. And the distance. I think that's it. That's going to be a big number, though, I'm pretty sure. Let's do it this way. This is actually how you would normally do, like, damage calculations. In a way. In a lot of RPGs, they do it like that. Yeah, and then we just return the direction times the magnitude. Alright, let's see if this gives us a better result. I think this is going to actually take us to the exact same spot that we were a second ago, though. We'll find out. Let's run it. Let's close this. See what happens. It should be... I don't know if it's going to be break my Unity and stuff like that. The forces might be a little bit too high. Hold on. I'm just like messing with the... Nice. Okay, it's working. I was messing with the collision range. It's just the range that the nodes can be before they start pushing each other apart. So this is what I want. And what happens if I do that? No, that's not good. Interesting. It's very weird. This isn't what I want, but it's doing something close to it. What happens if I do the collision range down to 1? So right now the rest length is where they're at. There's no real force on them collision wise. And we can see the other problem that I want to correct, which is this is drifting around a little bit. It's very heavy, so it's not moving a lot, but it's moving. So we want to anchor this actually. Okay. I think 1,000 forces or 1,000 collision strength with a probably 200 collision range is enough. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, gotcha. All right, let's we're gonna leave this here for now in case I decide to go back to this approach. But we're gonna be using this one. This looks like it's closer to what I want. But we do need to do this. Do I already cache it or no? Okay. So we don't need this. This is actually super simple. Ah, looks like we did need it. Never mind. My bad. That should be it. So now we just need to push this into this. Let's do it after everything.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it
Okay.
innocent, a feel of discontent.
Alright, so hopefully this handles the anchoring issue. The last issue that we wanted to take care of with the nodes movement is inside of this skill node. So when we do update physics, we need to just do a quick check. If
Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still. Hanging in the balance, not the life I want to live. I want to take it all, standing tall. Fear I weighed the person you are. Oh.
what the heck is going on here? I think I might have missed something. Do we even use this? Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. This is basically just for reading purposes. I understand. I can understand what's happening here. And I think we're doing clear force each time. Gotcha. Okay.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see.
Okay, that should do it. So now they shouldn't drift like they were drifting before. Hopefully. We should have taken care of all 3 issues now. Okay, so it looks like the first issue was taken care of. They bounced into each other but didn't overlap. Which is nice. Okay. Let's see now. Let's take a look at the core node. Nice. Okay. The rest of these, they kind of have too strong of a force being added to them, I guess. Yeah, they're still doing stuff. Alright, we need to test other things anyway, so let's go over here. We want to test out the collision strength. Oops, there we go. Right. I'm just trying to make sure that these orbs... This is perfection. Almost. Almost. It's almost there. We're almost there, boys. You see how we're trying to minimize the amount of overlap. So let's increase their range a little bit. There we go. This one is always going to overlap with this because we correct for this one's position after the math is done for these. So if we just move that call to before it, we should be okay. But this is cool. So what happens if I go to like 300? Yeah, see? They'll try to stay away from each other now. But they're going to be fighting because their actual rest length is pretty close. So we have to like give them space. There we go. Let's give it 50 as the, and I guess the range. Let's give it like 200. And let's reduce the dampening a bit. Ah, they go crazy. Let's increase that. There we go. Haha. Pretty cool. Actually increase the dampening a bit. Let's go to 250. We're almost there, but it works. We have a perfect collision going on for these other ones. We should definitely increase the we should definitely increase the ride range though. Give me a second. I think 100 is fine. Maybe 75, I don't know. Yeah, this gives us like enough room to between each one. So I'm gonna make it so I think I'm gonna make it so that way you can like grab one and then like move it around to where you want it to be. I don't know. There we have it. We are pretty much done with this setup, the UI setup. The only thing that's left is to actually make the panel that's going to have like the information about each node when we actually left click the node. It's going to have like that panel that comes up, and we can like level up the node or unlock it or whatever the situation might be with that node. Happy with this. Awesome. Okay. Copy these values. Awesome. All right. Next up, we need to make the we need to make the. Let's do a little bit of cosmetics first. Oh, brother. Skill tree, where are you? UI, I think it's probably no. Pause UI, prefab. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we're gonna change this node. To be, I think the core node should probably be red. Or maybe the unlocking node should be red. Maybe I should test them out before. Let's do that. Let's change this one to green for now. And the standard node to blue. Okay. All right. You have any suggestions for colors, Nepal? Look all right. I'm gonna change the color of the laser though. One sec. Probably give it better. Oops.
touch but never love the feeling. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling?
Looks pretty cool, huh? I think this should be yellow. These are just unlock. So it's a core node, right? Then this is the unlocker node. Then we have the stat node, and then we have to have the ability nodes. So the ability nodes can be a different one. Oh, my neck. So we probably have to make a prefab for that last one. But I think we're going to go with that color for the prefabs. Okay, there we go. And over here, we'll just add it to the list of different possible nodes. And I think we're done basically. Oh, this is the grid. We don't need these anymore. We could actually just get rid of that script. That was my first idea of how to approach it. Okay, and with that, I think we're done with the setup that we need in order to produce the skills now. I did take some time yesterday to work on just drawing out what the skill tree should look like. I didn't go too far because I kind of just had like the epiphany about just doing the tooltip. Like I just got the energy to do it randomly. Video that I did yesterday. So we were productive. As productive as we could have, maximum could have been. I don't know. It's debatable. Okay, but we are getting stuff done. Alright, so we need to assign this value. Or interesting. Alright, let's see. We should have like one ability in there, I think. Yeah, there it is. This just visualizes it so much better.
Empty hearts and neon lights. They're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly.
In some ways, this implementation of this network graph is actually better than the way I did it originally. It's more efficient, but it's definitely more confusing the way it was set up. For sure. Because instead of making calls internally, what I'm doing is I just have a gigantic for loop and nest that for loop, and it's doing basically almost the same thing. The trick is debugging it is a little bit trickier. You just gotta... I have an issue with for loops like that, just going in them all the time. Like, if you haven't touched them in a while and you have to go back to it, it's just like, gosh. You gotta spend the time and read it. Alright, we're getting the colors matching everything that we need. These are basically the only 4 types of nodes that I think you'll find. If you have ideas for different types of nodes, go ahead and let me know, but basically we have the core node, which is only one of this is going to be existing. You click it, this little menu is going to come up. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's going to be over here, wherever. And you can see how much experience you have. You can see how much accumulation you have. And then you can choose to spend your experience to purchase skill points. You can use experience kind of like money for a bunch of different things, right? Like, you can use... you gain experience every time that you increase your proficiency with something. Oh, sorry. Correction. So you gain experience by meditating. And then when there's a separate experience that you can gain. Let's call it proficiency. Every time that you like attack with a sword, that sword will gain, or your ability with a sword will gain proficiency. In order to level up your proficiency, though, or let me phrase it this way. You can level up your proficiency up to a certain point, but you have to spend experience to increase your proficiency cap, and by a certain amount. It's like 5 each time or whatever, right? And so you require a certain amount of experience to get there, and you get that experience by meditating. And when you meditate, time goes by, so your character does age and things like that. When you when you increase your proficiency, like your sword level 1, level 2, whatever, that is going to like increase like some stat related to swords, or right, usually it's like the damage that you do with swords or whatever the case might be, your base damage on sword, whatever. But you could also spend your experience over here, right, and unlocking these nodes as you go along. Right, and when you don't unlock these nodes, we'll just set them to, we'll set their color, I guess, to, we'll make them more transparent, I guess. I don't know. Let's see what they look like when they're more transparent. Versus making it more white. I think making it making them white is probably the bet. Like when they're not unlocked, and then when you unlock them, they turn the color that they're supposed to be. Again. Yeah, I think so. But anyway, these are the 3 things that I wanted to take care of. I'm not sure if I should stop streaming at this point then, because this is what I had in my brain to take care of, those 3 things, and then I wanted to do some stats. But this basically, it's like I'm taking care of these little things along the way and cleaning up the project in these different areas. So I added the tooltip, because I had to get tooltips done regardless. I'd been procrastinating on it. And so we just made the whole manager. We could make it better, but it's functional. It works fine right now. And then we also fixed the way that these nodes handle one another. I'm debating if I want to make it so that way when the player like left clicks and holds a left click on the node, if they can drag that node around and like sort this stuff out themselves. That'd be pretty cool, I think. Yeah, I think we're calling it there. That's good. Alright. So if there's any questions about like how to create a network graph like that, I think I just answered them. If there's more questions, then I'll try to answer them too. That's it. We're gonna call it there. Maybe I'll stream again a little bit later, but I think that's it. That's if I feel like as if there's more stuff that I'd rather accomplish in Engine or on IDE, I'll do that. For right now, though, I feel like most of the stuff I need to do are planning related, so I just need to go back to like Obsidian and like do stuff. All right, folks, take it easy. Thanks for joining. Hopefully this was a entertaining or good learning experience.